So to get the valve cover off the number 1 bank 1 valve cover, it's underneath the plenum there, that intake you see, and so we have to remove anything connected to that. So starting over here, I'm going to have to remove air filter cover here, this little breather box here. I've got the negative cable off to do all this. So 10mm bolts holding this side of the cover on. There is 1, 2, 3, 4 hoses on this side of the cover. I've got those marked. I'm going to go ahead and take those off. There's a hose that went into the valve cover here, intake hose that went right there to the breather box. That's already disconnected. MAF air sensor has to come off. This right here has to come off. This hose here. Okay, this boot has to be separated from the breather box. Or there's a possibility that I can just go ahead and keep it on here and remove it over here at the throttle body. Let's move this hose out of the way. Take a look. I think that's a real possibility. Let's go ahead and loosen this right here and see if we can do it in one piece. Separated. By loosening the screw, I'm able to separate it from the throttle body. Again, this hose is out of the way here. Tilt the cover up. Make sure there's no hoses still connected. Hose is connected in the back here. Right here at the throttle plate here, connector right here comes off. Right there. That connector right here comes off. Okay, there's a connector right here. I'm going to have to remove that. That is connected to the EGR tube here. Okay, throttle plate, 2 top bolts, 14mm nut, and then there's one more, I believe, right here, 14. That should be 14 as well. I'll take all those out. Alright, before taking the throttle plate off, I have to take this hose off right here. And that hose is hard to get off, so I'm going to go ahead and take the throttle off here. I've already taken the 2 nuts off the bottom. Okay, looks like another hose right here will have to come off. this hose off right here. Fresh oil. This hose here is connected to the intake or the plenum. So this will need to come off either here or here, wherever it's easiest. And I found this one to be easier just to take it off right here and leave this vacuum hose connected to the plenum there. Separating that EGR hose from the intake there. Those are 10 millimeter bolts, 1, 2. It's like a third one on the bottom there. Okay, this EGR tube has always been tricky. I took this off one other time and it was very difficult for me to do this. What I did was, once I got the nuts off here, I just pulled it past, and believe me, it was pretty hard to do. There's a couple other ways to do this, and I may do that this time. And that is finding a socket, it's like a star socket, and just taking the studs out. I don't know what size that is. There's 3 of them. Just taking the studs out and then just separating it that way. So haven't decided which way I'm going to go yet, but that is a really hard part of this job. The other hard part of the job is getting this brace bolt. Man, look at that. There's a brace bolt back here. Probably the hardest part is getting the brace bolt back here at the firewall. And I'm not going to be able to show you. I thought I would, but I've got to take this catch can off. So I'll continue. Okay, so you can see how I opted to go with the EGR tube here. Now there is a brace right here. That is a 12 millimeter, and I don't think I can get a socket on that, or I can get a socket on it, but I don't think I can get a wrench in there, so I'll be using just a wrench to do that. So you can see it's going to take a little while. I want to put this, mark this as a brace bolt. Pull this guy off here. Okay, moving over to the center, there's wires here on top of the intake. There's a rail here. I got 2 nuts, 1 on each end. Right there, but it's already off. Disconnected connector here. A hose right here from the VSV or whatever that is. Probably will mark that. Then I can just take this and pull it back out of the way. With those pulled back now, I've got some clearance there. Here and here. Here. right there. Okay, so over here on the passenger side. Alright, hose disconnected here. I've loosened these two ground wires. Okay, after struggling to get that on, I think I may be able to pop it loose, break it loose here. Got a 1/4 inch wrench. I've got this little pipe over it, bent the pipe up to where it's pretty comfortable, using like 3 fingers here to pull up. Got my other hand squaring it on here. And I just don't have the right size socket. I need a 14 millimeter. I don't have a 14 millimeter 1/4 inch, which is what I'm going to need. What am I using here? A 9/16. Okay, now when putting this thing back, it's best to have the plenum loose and put it in, tighten it about almost all the way or halfway, then tighten the plenum or the manifold here, then torque it down and finish off by tightening this brace bolt. Because if you tighten the plenum down first, it may not line up, and then you'll spend all day back here trying to line it up, and you may never do that, and then you'll end up having to, loosen the plenum again. So that's what I would suggest. And finally, there it is. I've seen some people, in a video I saw, a guy took, when he put it back, he took 2 or 3 more washers and then tightened it in with those washers in place. That way it let the head protrude out from that brace. So if he has to go back there, or if you have to go back there again and do it, it won't be inside that C brace. It'll be sticking out a little bit, so you won't have to put a socket on it. You can then, if it sticks out, you'll be able to put just a wrench on it, a 1-piece wrench. I've got one more ground wire back behind the plenum, and I can't get to it, so I'm going to go ahead and just remove it, and then once I can lift it up, maybe I can see it better. What I'm going to do here is, I think there's 2 hex screws. I've already got the socket in one of them, and then there's 2 nuts here on the side holding it on. Those are 14. These guys here I can't read it. Maybe you can read that. These things are torqued on pretty tight. Okay, now we'll go for the nuts. Okay, I'm just going to try to move it. I won't be able to take it off because the ground is still connected. I lifted it off the studs there. Okay, a couple of hoses right here. Need to go ahead and mark those, take those off and mark those. I was able to move it out and get onto that ground. And that is a 10 millimeter. I've already broke that loose. It's right here. And that will be the first bolt that I will put back on before I mount the plenum. It's just too difficult to get to once it's mounted. So it's loosened. And we are good. Should be able to take it off now. There's that ground. All right, with the plenum out of the way, see the valve cover here? Those bolts are way down there. So yeah, we'll be taking off those coils there, coil packs. Here's the bolts holding it on. We'll have to move this may have to move. I don't know if I have to remove the fuel rail or not, but we'll have to unplug these guys here. Go into the injectors. Yeah, look at the sludge build up inside the PCV.